Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition on Learning with Sacramento SEO and WebDevelopment.com. My name is Lemire Carter, and today I'm going to show you all how to get a Google API key. Now, I've done a video on this already, and I kind of had the feeling that I would have to touch up on it again, maybe give an update, because Google. Now, Google being the multinational technology company that it is, it likes to tweak things, likes to change things, and a lot of the time, its customers do not approve. I myself being one of them. I kind of wish they would just leave things be. I kind of go by the old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But I understand we live in a world where, they like to make things better. We like to make things better if possible. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get into getting a Google API key. All right. So the first thing that you want to do is type in the search bar console.developers.google.com. Once you've typed that in, go ahead and hit enter. Okay, once you get to the screen here, go ahead and click on this area up here, this tab here. Now, your screen may look a little bit different. It might just say create new project if it's your first time in your developer console backend area. Since I already have a few projects at my disposal, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the tab here and scroll or hover over to create a project. Click on that. And now you're just going to name it whatever you feel fits best for your project, or whatever name you prefer. So once you decided on a name, go ahead and click create. All right. So as you can see, Google is doing its thing now. And you just wait a few seconds for it to load up. There we go. Okay. So now that your project has been successfully created, now what you want to do is go to your API, hover over APIs. It'll probably look like this. The very first time you log into your backend area, it'll look like this. So if it looks like this, just click on APIs and auth, and then the submenu should appear. Next, you want to click on just APIs. All right, now you'll come to this screen. Now, before it had looked a little bit different. Well, actually, I take that back. It looked a lot of bit different. It was fairly well laid out. It had, the computer engine APIs. The APIs were on the left side, and the feature where you could disable them and enable them were on the right side. Now they have it where it's it's neatly placed and stacked, and you can just click on it to enable it or disable it. So now what you want to do is go ahead and click on or hover where it says enabled APIs, and it'll show you the number of enabled APIs there. Now you want to make sure that your APIs that are enabled match up with what I have here. In other words, you want to make sure that my screen looks like your screen, okay? So all of these APIs should be enabled, okay? BigQuery, Cloud Debugger, Google Cloud SQL, so on and so forth, okay? Now, don't worry that it says disable. Basically what that's saying is it's asking you if you want to disable it. So don't press any of these buttons here. However, I will say this. If you don't see any of these buttons listed here, go ahead and click on the API library tab. Go back to the main page, and then you can click on, in order to, only if you don't see what you saw on my screen. Look for what was missing. Once you find it, just click on it. Let's say, for example, you wanted compute, or you needed compute engine API. Click on it, and then you'll have the option to enable it right here. Okay, so once you click on enable API, it'll show up here, and it'll tell you that you've enabled it, and it'll show 8 instead of 7 or whatever. Now once you have all the APIs, once you verified all the APIs, okay, the next thing that you want to do is click on credentials right here. So click on that. Now what you want to do is click on add credentials, then hover over API key. Now, a lot of this is very I'll say similar to what was to how Google had it before with with their console. So they pretty much just kind of given it a new layout, and I completely understand how it could throw people off. It's like, you guys change up the layout. Now we're just confused. We don't know, what's what. Now we have a server key, browser key, Android key, iOS key. Now I've taken the liberty of also kind of backtracking on my last video and looking up the website, the page that displays the definition for these keys. And here we have them here. Okay, this page looks also different. So Google, they're busy. I'll say that they're busy beavers, and they're always changing up stuff. Server key: create and use a server key if your application runs on a server. Browser key: create and use a browser key if your application runs on a client, such as a web browser. An iOS key: create an iOS key if your application runs on an iOS device. And an Android key: create an Android key if your application runs on an Android device. So the name, as it entails, is pretty self-explanatory. So if you need a browser key, an API key for a browser, then you would, for your website, then you would get a browser key. So let's go ahead and go back to our console, our dashboard, and click on browser key. So the name of the key we'll call browser key 1. Use this key in your web application. API requests are sent directly to Google from your user's web browser. Once you figured out the name for the key, just go ahead and click in here. And they even use a what is that called? A placeholder. There we go. Just to give you an example, which example.com is being used to show you how they want it to be. So now I'm going by what the placeholder is displaying here. So you may have to kind of play with this just a little bit. You may have to tweak it. You may have to add in the HTTP or the www dot, or combination of both. I'm not 100% sure. If you're someone watching this video and you know for sure, maybe like a representative of Google, or someone who works close with someone who works at Google by chance, you can kind of fill in the blank and comment just to specify. But more than likely, you just follow what it has displayed in the placeholder, and it should be okay. And voila, you have your Google API key. Go ahead and copy it and paste it wherever it's needed. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video from Sacramento SEO, webdevelopment.com. My name is Lamir Carter, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.